Gentlemen, productive behaviour and necessary behaviour are not the same thing. All too easily, we can find ourselves falling into this trap of opting for the productive behaviour over doing the thing that we actually need to do. Now, the reason we do this is because doing something productive, even if it's difficult, makes us feel good. Whereas the things that we know we need to do that are medial tasks so often, like taking the dog out or doing the washing or just making sure the house is in check, we don't get that same feeling from doing this thing, and thus we avoid doing it. Now, the great paradox and the kind of hypocrisy, in a sense, that occurs here is the thing that actually constitutes discipline, as in doing the thing you don't want to do, is the thing you're avoiding by choosing to do the productive, disciplined behaviour. A perfect example, and the reason why I made this video today, happened just now. It's a horrible, wet, windy day outside, and thus that David Goggins voice that has chastised me for the last 2 years says, you need to go out there, you need to go and face that. So I go, okay, I'm going to go and face that. And then, equally well, I realise, I've still got to take the pooch out today. I still need to take the dog out. And the trade-off that happens in my head is I go, well, once I've gone out there, then I'm not going to take the dog out because I've been out there, it's horrible out there. And immediately in my head, I thought, hang on, the very reason why you're going out there in the first place is why you're not going to do the thing that you actually have to do. And it flies in the face, and this happens very often, of what it actually means to be disciplined and productive. We have this idea pushed towards us in social media that being productive and being disciplined constitutes a certain set of behaviours. These behaviours will be things like revision, writing, reading, going to the gym, these sort of things that we all look and go, yes, that is the productive behaviour. In no video except this one will you find people saying that the productive disciplined behaviour is taking your dog out. But in actual fact, it's very easy to avoid the necessary tasks that really do create that calloused, disciplined, no matter what, I will do what needs to be done mindset. I really didn't want to take my dog out today because it's horrible and wet and windy. But equally well, I pretty much really did want to go out and have a run because it's horrible, wet and windy and it's cold. And I would get that kick in my head of going, all the signs were pointing towards you not going out and doing that run, and you still went and did it. And this is the funny thing that happens with productive behaviour, particularly when it comes to things like this, is I know that I shouldn't be out running, and it's hard to go out running. So I kind of hype myself up in my head of thinking, I don't want to go out running, when I do want to go out running, because I know that I shouldn't, and the productive behaviour feels good. Now, as I say, this flies in the face of actually the true, authentic meaning of being disciplined. The thing that really needed to be done was going to be swept to the side and avoided because I wanted to indulge in this perceived discipline that actually just makes me feel good. It's good, yeah, of course, I'm going out running in the rain. It is a good behaviour, but it made me feel good rather than doing what needed to be done. I think the trap that we can very easily fall into, which somewhat aligns with the sort of productive procrastinator sort of thing, is doing things that make us feel good and make us feel productive rather than the things that we actually have to do. It's a chord that I will strike for a long time from this point, is that we don't always have to do the obviously productive behaviour. Quite often we have to do what needs to be done. What needs to be done can sometimes be a very medial task that just has to be done. A perfect example of this that falls kind of within the two realms here is it feels good to go to the gym, it feels bad not to go to the gym, but it's equally necessary to stretch so that you don't get injured, but it doesn't feel as good as going to the gym, so we don't do it. It doesn't fall within either category of making me feel bad so I avoid it or making me feel good so I do it. It falls in the middle, but it's actually equally necessary. The point that I want to make with this video is that don't fall into choosing a behaviour specifically because you think it's one of the productive things that you should be doing. You should actually be monitoring and measuring your behaviours on the productivity in terms of outcome, in terms of what it gives you. It's not going to achieve or improve you as much to add an extra hour of reading onto the hour you've already done as it is to add an hour of exercise onto the 0 hours that you've already done. Now, I know this does fall into a sort of neighbouring topic, which I'm going to move on to here. It's a perfect segue of we can kind of get stuck in one angle with self-improvement of we're just going to the gym or we're just going and doing this thing. We're not letting any of our attention be diverted in other directions. Now, the issue that comes with this is there's a perfect balance to be struck. On one front, you have to push some of your resources in a bias towards something to make that particular thing, like say your business, grow in the way that it needs to grow, and thus we need to take away from some of the time that we spend on other things. But we can also all too easily find ourselves doing this far too much or far too little. We don't pay any attention to something else and too much to this. And the important thing and the important kind of middle ground to be found is that you need to take care of what needs to be taken care of. You don't take care of what's already been taken care of. If you have done your 3 hours of exercise today, then you don't need to be chastising yourself into thinking, oh, it's raining outside, I need to go run. Or, oh, I've walked past a pull-up bar and my mind's had that thought of, you could do some pull-ups. You don't need to do that. You've done the thing. And this is the kind of, there's that voice that we can get in our heads when we're productive of enough is a non-existent. It never occurs. We never feel like we've done enough, even if we're fucking knackered or whether we've done so much work that our eyes are hurting. It's not enough. And the mindset that I want to make a point of here is that there's a real discipline that comes from knowing that that is the case and from knowing that the perceived discipline behaviour and the actual discipline behaviour are two different things. The thing that you need to do and the thing that you tell yourself that you need to do because David Goggins would do it are often two different things. You need to become aware of what actually pushes you forward, what actually makes corn, grows corn is a good saying that Chris Williamson says, of what actually provides me with results, because I would argue, and I will die on this hill, that the arbitrary difference between 2 hours of work and 3 hours of work is not by any means worth as much as that hour being spent elsewhere. I feel as though so long as this is only divided between a handful of behaviours, i.e. your goal as in your kind of business sort of pursuit, something you're working towards, physical behaviour and something like meditation, say, unless we're doing this, I just don't feel like we're actually being productive. It's a trap that I've fallen into on a number of occasions with myself, is choosing to do things that I perceive to be the right thing to do because they seem to be productive, rather than what actually is productive. It's a very difficult line and chord and understanding to strike, and I feel like I personally am still some ways to understanding it. But I wanted to make this video, I wanted to talk about this because I think it's very easy to kind of stunt ourselves thinking that we're doing the right thing. We think as though going out for the run is the right thing to do. It was the good thing to do. But in actual fact, the thing you should have done was take care of those emails that you keep putting off that you really don't want to get into. Or, you know, if you're still at school, get that homework done that you don't want to do. You'd much rather go to the gym, or you'd much rather push yourself in your own direction. But there are things that need to be done. It's important that we get such habits in check and things done. Discipline in check with the things that really don't provide us with that productive spark that we get. We do get a good feeling from doing things like going to the gym or revision or the things that we know progress us forward. We do get that good feeling. And there are also many things that need to be done that don't strike the same euphoria and feeling in us. So in today's video, basically, the point I'm trying to make, which I feel by the end of this, I've muffled it a little bit, but I'm going to put this out and hope that it comes out the way that I want it to, is discipline is not always doing the thing that makes you feel good, but is difficult. Sometimes there are many things in your day that really need to get done first. And the longer you push these back, the bigger that beast behind you becomes. If there's something you know needs to be done, get it done. Get it done before what you perceive to be the real disciplined act, because that's what being disciplined actually is.